All right, guys, you enjoyed it last week, so we're running it back. My guy, Patrick Seatman, and I do a little joint preview, Bears, Vikings, big game in the NFC North. If you want to take down Minnesota and get to 7-3 on the season, hit that like button. Preview coming up next. All right, guys, big one this week. Week 11 is here. Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings. My name's Harrison Graham. That's Patrick Seatman. I'm our Bears Now host here at Chat Sports. He is our Vikings Now host. Seeps, this is a big game for both teams. I think for the Bears, it's kind of you've beaten a bunch of teams that a lot of people don't think are very good. For the Vikings, it's kind of now or never if they're going to stay alive in the NFC North and really in the NFC playoff picture as things are really crowded there. So should be an interesting one at US Bank Stadium this Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. For the Viking side of things, I mean, this is a season on the line type of game. I mean, if you lose this one, you can kiss your playoff hopes goodbye. You know, they are still 2-0 in the division, so if you can get the 3-0, that will obviously be massive. But especially with like the Bears, Vikings, and Niners, and now you can throw the Packers into there, kind of fighting for that 6th and 7th seed in the NFC. I mean, this game is absolutely massive for both ball clubs. Obviously, you had the insane game week 1, a lot of drama in that one. Bears got up early. Vikings had an insane late fourth quarter comeback, but this is a massive spot for the Vikings, and I think the pressure, who needs it more? It is no doubt, in my opinion, on Minnesota.
Yeah, I do think, the Bears have more wiggle room, obviously, sitting at 6-3. I do think, if Chicago were to lose this one, it would kind of turn into, okay, they're a fraud alert type of team.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of the talking points out there. And if the Vikings were to lose this game, like you said, it's a big uphill battle. It's Seattle and Green Bay the next couple of weeks.
Green Bay on the road. It's going to be tough.
It's a tough sled. And let's talk some injury stuff, and then we'll get into some of the matchups here. I want to start with J.J. McCarthy, actually. He has a hand issue, Seeps, was very limited on Wednesday. Today, the Vikings haven't released their full injury report. We're filming this on Thursday, so check the Thursday, check the Friday injury reports if you're fans of both teams, obviously. We do have the Bears Thursday report, so we'll get to that. But dealing with a hand issue after hitting his helmet in this past Sunday's game, what's going on with QB1 in Minnesota?
Yeah, so this was going on against the Ravens game. He was just having a follow-through over a pass over the middle to Jefferson. He just banged his hand on a Ravens defensive tackle's helmet. And yesterday, did not throw. And also I thought was interesting when JJ was doing his press conference after practice, he kept his hands in his hoodie pocket the entire time.
I saw that.
So I don't know if that was, meaningful or if that was just kind of, a coincidence there. But, I mean, JJ, he's obviously been banged up a ton to start his NFL career. Had that torn meniscus last year, dealing with the high ankle sprain early on this season. And we really saw somebody divvied up the stats from before and after that hand injury against the Ravens. I mean, it was night and day. So he is obviously a more fragile quarterback at this point. But, I mean, if JJ for some reason can't go, I still think it's, upwards of 95% that we'll see JJ out there this Sunday. Then it would be the UDFA from Minnesota, Max Brosmer, which I think the typical notion around the backup quarterback, everybody loves the backup quarterback until the backup quarterback actually has to go out there and play. So hopefully it's JJ McCarthy, but still, I mean, he's going to be banged up. Hopefully Kevin O'Connell can, stay more committed to the run than he has, since the last 4 years of him being the Vikings head coach.
Yeah, we'll get into that as well, as that's obviously been a big topic for Minnesota's offense. Yeah, we flashed the note. Kevin Seifert, ESPN.com, did report that JJ was able to throw on Thursday after not throwing on Wednesday. We'll see. And again, you guys check the injury reports if he's listed as full or a limited participant. On the Bears injury side of things are trending up. They've kind of been in this cycle the last several weeks. They got a lot of key guys banged up, so early in the week, a lot of guys don't practice. Everyone freaks out. Then as the week goes on, they do a little bit more and more. So on Thursday, the only notable absence is Jaquan Brisker, who has been healthy this year. He's dealing with the back issue, so keep an eye on Friday about his status. If he can't go, maybe C.J. Gardner-Johnson plays some true safety. Maybe they go to Elijah Hicks. We'll see about that one. Don't expect T.J. Edwards to play. He's got a broken bone in his hand, and he's dealing with the hamstring pull. So I would guess he misses another week. Joe Thuney, a rest day. Jahdae Walker in the concussion protocol, but just really a special teamer there. Anyway, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze have been nicked up. They were limited, so I expect them to go. Then you guys see the rest of those guys that are expected to be out there. So the Bears trending up on the injury front. One more key name to mention here, Seeps, is Jonathan Greenard
100%.
for the Vikings, who, if you guys remember last year, the Bears had to turn to Karan Amagaji at left tackle, and Greenard blew up that game, starting on the opening drive. Strip sack of Caleb Williams. I don't think Amagaji fired off the ball on that snap. But Theo Benedict, who's an upgrade over Karan Amagaji, but isn't exactly an all-pro, if Greenard's not out there, that certainly is a benefit to the Bears because I would give him the advantage in one-on-one opportunities against Theo Benedict.
Yeah, and Grenard's been fantastic at generating pressures this year, but his biggest lapse in his game so far this season is just bringing the quarterback down. And obviously we know, I think Caleb Williams, it's not a hyperbolic statement to say he's probably the best escapability quarterback right now in the National Football League. This has been something the Vikings have struggled with the entire season, so he is not able to go. Jonathan Greenard. Expect Dallas Turner to be out there playing a whole lot, and he was a much, much better against the Baltimore Ravens, but he still hasn't lived up to being the 17th overall selection back in 2024. So he is going to be a key spot for this Vikings defense. They've been dropping him, specifically last week, more in the coverage. He almost had a batted ball that resulted in an interception of Lamar Jackson, but he is the main difference between Greenard and Dallas Turner, especially going up against the Bears and Ben Johnson. It is night and day in terms of just setting the edge and being great against the run, because Dallas Turner, he's a thinner edge rusher, where Greenard, he is firing off the ball. He's bringing all types of energy, but Dallas Turner, just in terms of being a run defender, I think he's one of the worst edges in the National Football League right now, so that's going to be probably the biggest, X factor. If Greenard can't go, I'm very concerned about the Bears being able to just kind of get the crowd out of the game, kind of death by 1,000 cuts here against this Vikings defense.
Well, and one thing that has changed mightily since week one is the Bears have found their running game.
Yeah.
The combination of DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai has been good. They've done better with these combo blocks with this offensive lineman. Ben Johnson's getting these tight ends to block really well. Cole Kmet's been an excellent run blocker this year. Colston Loveland's been coming along. They use Durham Smythe a lot. So, keep an eye on 12 personnel and getting downhill in the running game. Whereas in week one, if you take the Caleb Williams scrambles out of it, the Bears only ran for 61 yards on 20 carries. So that was an area where Minnesota was able to minimize the Bears' offense in week one. I would expect the Bears to have a little more success, especially to your point, if Greenard can't go.
Yeah, and plus the defensive tackles for the Vikings, Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, they were fantastic week one. They had 13 pressures in that game. They were great against the run. But since then, they've been pretty poor. Hargraves definitely came on over the last couple of weeks, starting to see him kind of, be accustomed to this Brian Flores defense. But there is one defensive tackle for the Vikings, not a household name, Jalen Redmond, number 61. He has been making plays this entire season. He actually leads the Vikings in sacks, so he's been great against the run, great at generating pressure. But especially even if Andrew Van Ginkel's still dealing with this neck injury, that is my biggest concern, is that the Bears are able to just set up the run, get the play-action game going, Colston Loveland over the middle of the field, and especially with the Brian Flores defense, if you're going to beat them, especially through the air, it is over the middle of the field. And that's where a guy like Colston Loveland can dominate. So that's a big concern, at least I have, heading into this game as well.
I still think, even with the improvements Caleb has made this year, is one of the best games of his career was in Chicago last year against the Vikings, and he was able to hit some layered throws over the middle. He hit Keenan Allen on a couple in some tight windows, the DJ Moore dig route after the onside kick to put him into field goal range, to force that overtime, game-tying field goal to get to overtime before the Vikings were able to win that game. He's been much more willing and able to attack the middle of the field with Diggs to Odunze and even Luther Burden on a few this year. And then also Colston Loveland's really come alive the last few weeks, 10 catches on 11 targets for almost 200 yards. So I do think he can be a potential X factor in this game. I want to talk more about these two quarterbacks in a moment, but we want you guys to chime in on the show. Then we got to tell you guys about today's sponsor first. You guys go ahead and chime in. Let us know who you got. CHI for the Bears, MIN for the Vikings. Like we said off the top, big game for both. Bears looking to salvage the split against Minnesota, get their first divisional win of the year, while the Vikings are looking to get back to 500 overall. All right, let's tell you guys about out today's sponsor. That is PrizePicks, daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. The hard-hitting action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app, as you can toggle by sports, and then specific stats as you start to make your lineups. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player lineups, regardless of sport. And you are good to go. If you hit, you win money. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Little Bears Vikings action here. I took the more on Caleb Williams' rushing yards. That's been a big part of his game recently. 20.5. I like that. J.J. McCarthy has this hand issue. I took the less on the 212.5 passing yards. You can light me up in the comments, Vikings fans. It's all good. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. You made a point earlier about Caleb Williams' escapability. There's a lot of data that supports this. The sack rate has decreased massively. He has the most forced missed tackles among quarterbacks with 26. Second most is 17 for Josh Allen. So that's a wide gap there. If you just watched the Giants game last week, I mean, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, these guys had multiple chances to bring him down, and he's kind of got that sixth sense, Seeps, to just feel when the pressure's coming. The footwork, the pocket presence has gotten a lot better this year. He's starting to scramble a little bit more. He's not, a run-first quarterback by any means. This isn't a Justin Fields situation, but, in big spots especially, we saw it last week. If there's a lane, he is certainly willing to take it, and he can absorb contact. He can make people miss. His explosiveness as a runner and a passer has really been on display. You'd like the accuracy to be better. There's been some drops in there, but he's been one of the more explosive quarterbacks in the NFL. And I always say this: if you're gonna miss some layups at times, if you're generating explosives, that kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, and plus with the Vikings defense, this has been their Achilles heel all year. It's just bringing down the quarterback, and that's why I think Caleb poses just so many problems for him, because also Caleb, like you're saying earlier, attacks the middle of the field very, very well. And if the Vikings aren't able to bring this guy down, he is going to make some plays this weekend. I could really see Caleb having a massive, massive game in this spot. You still got that Ben Johnson, Brian Flores matchup where Ben Johnson, even week one, I still feel like he did a decent job. So I'll be curious to see how, Flores adjusts here. But, Caleb's been awesome. Especially the last couple of weeks, he's got that clutch factor in his game right now. And I think it's just going to come down to, can the Vikings get him uncomfortable early? Because when the Vikings defense, the last 2 weeks against Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson, they have had tremendous first halves. I think this was the most impressive, at least I have been with this Vikings defense throughout the entire season, is just them early on in the first half, getting Goff off his spot, getting Lamar Jackson off his spot, and they're actually able to contain Lamar a lot. Now, the Ravens, I think they came into that game with a very vanilla game plan. It kind of felt like an old school Patriots feel where they're like, hey, we're just going to let the Vikings beat themselves. We're going to let them combust, and that's exactly what happened for Baltimore. So I'll be curious to see if Caleb, can get it going. Still a very unique scheme. Flores will always have new wrinkles every single week, but, I'm concerned. Escapability, attacking the middle field, being able to run the football, that's a formula to beat Flo's defense.
We'll get to Kevin O'Connell and JJ in a second. I do want to ask, do you expect Flores to continue to blitz at a high rate? I can't remember if they're number one this year or not, but they're obviously very high in that category and normally are. I'll be curious just with how effective Caleb's been at avoiding pressure. If, does he back off a little this week and force him to beat some kind of heavier zone coverages? Yeah,
against Jared Goff and the Lions, they were blitzing him at an all-time rate. I think it was up towards almost 80%. And then even against Lamar Jackson, they were blitzing him a ton. So I'll be curious to see how he plays it this week. I think, like you're saying, maybe he kind of teals off a little bit, but he's still going to bring pressure more than probably Caleb has seen over the last couple of weeks. Try to get some looks out there, challenge him in the processing side of the game. Because if you just let Caleb Williams play backyard football indoors at US Bank Stadium, he could be set up to have a massive game.
Yeah, it's interesting to mention indoors. They haven't played in kind of a standard weather climate in a while. I mean, there were flurries and winds up to 35 miles per hour last week. In Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, it was super windy. They had a game, that game in Washington, it was pouring rain. This will be a weather-controlled game that they have not had in quite a while. Talk to me about the Vikings offense a little bit. I mean, obviously, there's been this kind of dilemma, I think, with Kevin O'Connell of he wants to throw the ball. He wants to challenge opposing secondaries downfield, but you're trying to bring your quarterback along who hasn't played a lot of ball. Obviously, you mentioned the injuries earlier with J.J. McCarthy. He's got this hand issue now. You would think they would try to get the run game going,
You would think.
I mean, that hasn't really been the case. So it'll be interesting to see if he makes some adjustments this week.
I think the thing that's so frustrating, especially being a Vikings fan, is like it's not like the Vikings can't run the football. Like if it was a situation like back in 2023, the Vikings could not run the ball. KOC, this was when Kirk Cousins got hurt. They had the Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins, experience going on, but they could not run the ball at all. But this year they can. And what is going to be interesting, especially from a Vikings fan perspective here, short yardage situations. With J.J. McCarthy, they have in 3rd and 4th down on 2 yards or less, they have thrown the ball 12 times with J.J. They have picked up 0 first downs.
Wow.
They have ran it 6 times, and they have picked up a first down on 5 of those. So clearly, if we all know those stats, Dennis Allen knows those stats, that's probably been the biggest hiccup with Kevin O'Connell's game. And also him and his play caller, this is not like a 2025 issue. This has been an issue since he took over 4 off seasons ago. And if the Vikings, again, you're asking a guy like J.J. McCarthy, who is battling an injury, and almost, I'm trying to be optimistic here, I'm hoping that hand injury almost forces Kevin O'Connell's hand, where it's like he understands. He cannot ask JJ to throw the ball 30-plus times in this game. Plus, he's coming from Michigan, where they didn't ask him to do a whole lot, and then KOC is just treating him like he treated Sam Darnold last year. Like, you want to have faith in your guy. You want to instill confidence. But the turning point last week in that Ravens game, the Vikings were up 10-9. They had 2 explosive runs, first drive of the second half. They have a 3rd and 1 situation, ball at midfield. They go heavy set, heavy play action, trying to take a deep shot to Justin Jefferson. Jefferson ended up slipping on the play. He fell down, resulted in an interception, and KOC did say he planned to run the ball on 4th down there, but I just am very frustrated. Just run the football, get this kid easier looks. But again, he was making the point where it's like, man, if I got one-on-one coverage with Justin Jefferson, I'm going to do that over and over again. And, Aaron Jones, he has looked good over the last 2 weeks. That burst is still there. Jordan Mason, he's been all right over the last month, but the Vikings can run the football, and that is what is so frustrating. And especially if they get down, even if it's just by 3 points, KOC would just bail on that game plan. He's like, all right, I'm going to try to air this one out, which is almost – it's tough because you do have Jefferson. You do have Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson's has shown himself, but you do have weapons. But sometimes – lean on that offensive line. Get your quarterback easier spots. Get in these 3rd and short situations. And also one thing to follow in this game, the Vikings, they had 8 false starts last week at home. That was the 2nd most since 2000 for a team at home with that amount of false starts. It's got to change. They've been playing sloppy football. I still think Kevin O'Connell's a great coach, but they haven't been playing like a well-coached team. Mainly last week against Baltimore.
It's going to be interesting because I would say the best way to attack the Bears defensively right now is to challenge the outside corners. Tyreek Stevenson the last couple of weeks has not played how he was in the 4 or 5 weeks prior. He's kind of reverted back to, last year and the first couple of weeks this year. So, conventional wisdom, you get a man look, Jahdae or Addison on Tyreek Stevenson or Nashawn Wright. It's like, that's kind of where you attack this defense right now. But at the same time, you want to take the pressure off J.J. McCarthy. So I think that the chess match, X's and O's wise, between him and Dennis Allen, but also just the mental internal battle for Kevin O'Connell.
It's like the Green Goblin mask, like in Spider-Man. Like, he just can't help himself sometimes. So we'll see.
It's going to be very, very interesting to say the least. I will say this: a couple things. One, Aaron Jones. They got that matchup in week 1 on Noah Sewell on that wheel route.
Yes.
Well, Noah Sewell's going to play again because TJ Edwards, barring a late miracle here, is not going to play in this game. So I'll be curious if they go back to that concept at some point in this game and find that man matchup because Sewell, who's been solid in the run, he's not very good in coverage, though. I think that's a big advantage, Aaron Jones. So I could see Kevin O'Connell pulling that out in a key spot once again. And then also, in general, again, getting back to the run game thing, the one thing the the Bears defense has been pretty consistently good at the last several weeks is stopping the run. They've been pretty good in that regard. So, and you would think if you're Dennis Allen, you want to turn this into a J.J. McCarthy game. I mean,
100%.
I think that's probably the clear strategy for Chicago's defense. So,
and the one thing I will say on J.J., it is a play-the-play thing with this kid.
Oh, no question.
Like, it is like he'll have a throw where you're feeling optimistic. Like, man, that's one of the best throws I've seen this guy have.
We saw it week 1.
Yeah, week 1,
he was
perfect
horrible
example.
for 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter he looked like he won Offensive Player of the Week.
And then he'll have like just a stretch where he is just incredibly inaccurate. I mean, what you would expect from a 22-year-old kid. This is still, it's crazy to say, like, this is his 5th career start.
Yep.
I mean, he has a lot kind of just to continue to learn here in the NFL. But, I mean, he is just an up-and-down player, which you would expect. But, again, it gets back to the point. You want to limit those kind of variations. Don't have him throw the ball 42 times like he did last week against Baltimore when, yeah, you were down 2 scores for majority of late in that 3rd quarter, majority of the 4th quarter, but you could still run the football. So that's going to be huge for Vikings fans, and honestly, just huge in this game. See if the KOC can stay committed there.
Yeah, you would think if you're Minnesota, you'd want to shorten the possessions in this
100%.
game because Caleb's kind of in this mode right now. You give him more and more possessions. Like the Bears lead the NFL in explosive plays. You give him more and more cracks. At this, they're going to find a few as the game goes on.
And one thing I'll be curious about, when JJ does start to get hit, that's when he really starts to derail. Like, he was amazing in the 1st quarter. And, again, it's a scripted plays. Like, I'm sure with all young quarterbacks with an elite play caller, you're great on those first 15. But once he starts to get hit, he rushes the processing side of the game almost way too much, where there's a couple plays last week. He's got guys running wide open. If he can just stay in the pocket for a half a more second or stay on that initial read. But it has been definitely up and down. Again, he is one of those guys right now. I have no idea what to expect. He could have a great game. He could have a terrible game. It could be like week 1, 3 bad quarters, 1 great quarter. So we'll see what happens with number 9.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if 9 or JJ comes up for this. One last thing I'll say too for the Bears, they've yet to play like this full game where like they're in control throughout. Like, a lot of the time they start well and they finish well, and in the middle of the game you're kind of like, what's going on here? So it's going to be very, very interesting. A lot of pressure on both these teams in this one, and I'm excited to see.
I think if the Bears get up early, this could be a bloodbath. Because I think that crowd, it's going to be a very tense environment.
Some
in
Bears
US Bank
fans
Stadium.
will travel too, you would think. I mean,
100%.
This is as good as they've been in mid-November, really since, sort of 2020, but really 2018. So Bears fans know what's at stake. I mean, you win this one, get to 7-3, your playoff chances jump up quite a bit. So this is a pretty vital game here.
Yeah.
All right, that was fun. We did this last week with our Giants host, Marshall Green. If you guys want more of this, let us know in both comment sections. This video is going on Bears Now and on Vikings Now. Reminder to subscribe, drop those score predictions down in the comment section below. What time you going live Sunday?
11, hour before kickoff.
11 Central. We'll be live 10:45 or so, so be sure to join us over there. All right, guys, bear down and whatever you guys say.
Skull Vikes.
See you guys next time.
See ya.